What is up, everybody? We're back here at King Film Sports for another NBA video, and I am hyped, and you should be too, because we went 6-0 last week, last Thursday, handicapped 5 NBA games and made 6 units, winning the other 4 games, winning 2 units on the Portland Trailblazers money line against the Sixers, and then winning in all 4 of the other games via the spread. So going 6-0 last week, we unfortunately only went 1-3-1 on MLK Day. So that puts us to 4 units up, 7-3-1 on the year. And today, NBA Wednesday, February 17th, we've got 6 more locks, a great 10-game slate here, and 6 games I'm going to be handicapping for you guys today. So without further ado, let's get into it. We've got 2 nationally televised games, both on ESPN. First one being Rockets and 76ers, and this one is probably the easiest one of the night for me. I'm taking the Sixers minus 11 against Houston. I mean, this really just feels like a bounce-back game. The Sixers are the best team in the East, and they have been reeling as of late. They had a big road trip, 4 games in which they beat the Kings in the first one, and then lost to the Blazers, Suns, and Jazz. And those are 3 very good Western Conference teams. The Rockets are not currently in playoff positioning, and the Rockets have lost 6 straight themselves and are currently on a road trip. They've already lost to the Knicks and the Wizards on this road trip. Both decent Eastern Conference teams, but not great. And we're talking about the Sixers here. Embiid is listed as day-to-day, but I think he's going to go. This is just another game to bolster his MVP stat line. He's already averaging close to 30 points per game. I think he's going to keep that up, maybe put up 35 to 40 points. And even in their last game when Embiid was out at Utah, Simmons put up 42 points and the Sixers barely lost. It took a fourth quarter run from the hottest team in the league, the Utah Jazz, to distance themselves. So I know 11 is a lot of points, but I think this one is just going to be like a 20-point game. I don't think the Rockets stand any chance. They haven't even been playing competitive. I mean, just looking at their recent games, they just gotten blown out in their last 6 games, so none of them have been close. Give me the Sixers here, big, to cover the 11-point spread. Next game, we have the Celtics hosting the Hawks. Celtics, obviously, on the second leg of a back-to-back, destroying the Nuggets last night in a great game for them. And I know that it goes against everything that I've been saying this entire season, fade the team on the back-to-back, but give me Boston minus the 3, and here's why. I mean, Jaylen Brown's been playing great basketball this entire season, averaging 26 points. He's having a career year. You obviously have Jason Tatum, and if this game gets to crunch time, I can trust Jason Tatum when the game is on the line. This just feels like a game that the Celtics have to win. I mean, they've been reeling as of late, although they did get that Nuggets win. They need this one because they're currently sitting at 14-13. They want to make a run at potentially the 1 or 2 seed in the East, whereas the Hawks are 2-8 in their last 10. I mean, they've just gotten blown up by every team they've played as of late. The Mavs, Spurs, Pacers, Knicks have all been losses. What makes me think that they're going to beat this Celtics team, which is clearly superior in talent? This is also a pretty easy pick for me. I have Boston off of the back-to-back, getting the win by at least 3 points. Next game, we have the Pacers at the Timberwolves, and this one is a bit sketchy to me, considering how well the Timberwolves played in last night's game, but give me the Pacers to cover the 6 points. The Timberwolves are just simply the worst team in the league at 7-21. They haven't been playing good basketball in the slightest. 3-7 in their last 10. They did get a clutch win against Toronto, but other than that, it's been all losses as of late. And the Pacers have not been playing good recently themselves. Just recently, on Monday, lost in overtime to the Bulls, but the Bulls are a much better team than this Timberwolves squad. They have Malcolm Brogdon carrying them, and Domantas Sabonis has been quiet as of late, but he's had a great season. I just trust this Pacers team a lot more. I think this is a bounce-back game for them in this one against a clearly inferior team. I mean, D'Angelo Russell's not even playing. Karl Anthony Towns hasn't even had a great season per se. Beasley, for God's sake, is their leading scorer at 20 points per game. You just got a bunch of casuals playing for the Timberwolves. Jared Vanderbilt leading them in rebounds, Ricky Rubio. So Timberwolves, worst team in the league. You've got to fade them at this point. And the Pacers, although they have been in a lull, only 3-7 in their last 10, I think this is a spot where they can bounce back, get right game on the road. Timberwolves on the second leg of a back-to-back, in which they lost the first. Although they played pretty well, I think they're going to play even worse tonight and lose the game by at least 6. Give me the Pacers to cover the spread. Next game, we have Portland going to New Orleans. Both teams on the second leg of a back-to-back. So this one's probably the hardest one for me to predict here. New Orleans favored by 3, and give me the Pelicans to cover that spread. This goes against everything I want to do because the Blazers are on a 6-game winning streak, and the Pelicans have not been playing good as of late. But the Blazers really have not been playing consistent basketball. They've been kind of pulling these games out at the end. I think the road stops here for this Blazers winning streak. They were up 24 to the Thunder, and then the Thunder, one of the worst teams in the league, come crawling back and make it like a 1-point game in the fourth quarter at the end of the game. Luckily, Dame puts it away, but the Trailblazers got to slip up at some point, and I think this is the game. New Orleans played great against Memphis, and they don't need that type of performance here against the Blazers, but I think they're going to get something close to it. CJ McCollum's out, so it's going to be all on Dame really to score here. And you're going up against Zion Williamson. He had one of his best games of the season. Last game against the Grizzlies, he's averaging 24 on the year. You obviously have Steven Adams, Brandon Ingram, Lonzo Ball. So I think the Pelicans will pull out this victory. They're obviously sub 500. They're playing with a lot of urgency. They haven't been playing the greater ball as of late, but at home here, Pelicans have been a great home team this year, so give me the Pelicans to cover the 3-point spread. I think this one could go either way, but I have a little more trust here in New Orleans, so give me them to cover the 3. Next game here, we have the second leg of the nationally televised games. This one on ESPN, the Warriors hosting the Heat. And give me the Warriors in a quasi-pick'em game. Warriors given a point, but that doesn't really matter. I just think the Warriors are going to win the game outright. Warriors, great team at home, 10-6, and they beat the teams that they are supposed to beat. And this Heat team is not a bunch of scrubs. Their record is 11-16, and their talent doesn't really convey that they should be at that record. But they just haven't played consistent ball this year for whatever reason. Dragic is out, but he wasn't a major factor in their finals run last year anyway. You have Bam Adebayo, and he could present a gargantuan problem for this Warriors team who really doesn't have a big in having Wiseman, Marquise Chris, and Kevon Looney out in this one. But the Warriors have been playing good small ball as of late. They had a great bounce-back game against the Cavs. And I think Curry just goes off against this Heat team again. I know the Heat have had Max Strus, who's been an up-and-coming player. He's been going off in some prior games, but I just don't really trust the Heat here. They're on a big road trip, already playing 3 games. They've lost their last 2 to Utah and the Clippers, some good Western Conference teams. I think the Warriors, although not being as good as them, are still a very good team. And as you saw against the Nets, they're not in that top tier of teams, but they beat the teams that they are supposed to as they dispose of the Cavs, the Magic, Spurs as of late. So give me the Warriors to win this game convincingly against the Heat. Next and final game, we have a great game in the Western Conference featuring the Jazz and the Clippers. And this one's very hard for me to predict. I want to pick the Clippers here because I feel like at some point they are going to get it together. I mean, not that they've been playing bad, but they're 21-8, and the Utah Jazz have a better record. But deep down, you know, if these two teams played in a 7-game playoff series, you know that the Clippers would win. But the Jazz are just playing great basketball at the moment. I mean, 8 straight wins. Obviously, they've played a lot of games at home, and they are playing in altitude. But this one is in LA. Still give me the Jazz to win this one. I'm only swallowing 2 points. Mike Conley is out. That is big because he's playing at an all-star level this year. That is a big component of why they have been so good this year. But Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert, their tandem is just so good. And then you also have Royce O'Neal on the defensive end. I think he makes the difference in this one. Also, notably out for the Clippers in this one is Paul George. Nick Batum and Kawhi Leonard are listed as day-to-day, but I think they will go, as this is a great game. Ibaka's been playing good for the Clippers, and Leonard has been decent this year. Probably the most he's tried in a regular season. And they're playing the top dogs in the West, so maybe they give a great effort at home here. But I just can't go against the trends. The Jazz have won 8 straight. I've trusted them with units in the past. And they've beat great teams in the league. I mean, you've seen at home, they beat Boston. They beat Milwaukee. They beat Miami. They beat Philadelphia. I mean, they're beating top teams in the league. And the Clippers just haven't been that consistent. In their big games this year, they've not been that good. They have a little 4-game win streak going on, but that's against subpar competition. So give me the Jazz to cover the 2-point spread on this one, but that is going to be a very entertaining game. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know in the comments if you fade or tail me on any of my bets, and I will see you in the next one.